Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode 48 of Direwolf20's Let's Play Not Too Complicated series, where today I decided between episodes to implement a third line of fissile fuel production, and at this point we've backstuffed. And I want to explain some things that I discovered. So basically, remember I was hoping that I'd be able to crank this guy up to like the max burn rate of 735 if I went ahead and made enough fuel? I was mistaken. That is not true. That is not how it works. Sorry. Well, technically I can if I don't mind it over-reloading and overheating and blowing up. Then I would be fine to do that. So long story short, there's a limit to how much water can cool a fission reactor, and if I want to go any higher than I currently am, I need to get into sodium cooling, which requires a whole new multi-block structure like a giant heat exchanger. I think you guys saw me do that once or twice before. So I'm not sure that I want to do that, if I'm being honest. But I've cranked this guy up as high as I can. You'll note here, if I change this to 557, it's currently at 556. If I make it 557, see what's happening? Do you know what's happening? It is heating up to the point where it's too hot, and you'll see it's taking damage a little bit. And this guy is triggering the signal to turn off. And it's happening so fast you almost can't see the redstone signal pulse. But trust me when I say it's too hot at 557. So 556 is where we can go. Now, overall, I'm producing around 750 here. So I turned this guy back on. He's been off this whole time, but I'm like, let's put him back on. So he's back on. And now he's producing 50. So combined, we're in like the 606 realm. This guy's, keeping up with the polonium production. I actually turned off, I set this guy to like not need, or to need a inverted redstone signal. So if I want to start making neutronium again, I just flipped a lever and we're producing neutronium. Okay. If I don't want to, I just turn the lever off and we're no longer producing neutron gas and everything's groovy. Okay. So neutron off, and then all of our nuclear waste is going towards polonium to make antimatter. The reason I did that is because neutronium, I don't know that we need as much of it. And, we're going to need a bunch, but we don't need as much as we need antimatter. And it's way faster to make than antimatter. To be clear, it took me like, maybe an hour or two to crank out a couple hundred neutronium, where antimatter we're sitting around 40-ish. And how long ago did I start producing antimatter? A while. Now, granted, we're making it a little bit faster now, but not quite that much faster, but still faster. You can see the process at which we're producing, a little bit of antimatter liquid. So you can see, like, maybe every second, maybe a little faster than a second to produce a millibucket of antimatter. So given, that that's the case, we're looking at 1,000 seconds to make a piece of antimatter. It's still a long time. Other things I did between episodes. If you thought that math was scary, wait until you see the next math, okay? Dyer's taking off his helmet. That's how serious this is. I made a change to the pack, and before y'all yell at me for saying I'm cheating, I want you to understand why I did this. Because there's actually a good reason, okay? I made it so that Klein stars and all the stars, the different tiers of star, have EMC values now. And I'm going to tell you why I did this. Because frankly, it's going to be impossible to craft the Colossal Star Omega, which we need not only for the final shard, but for all these things, okay? When I say impossible, I mean literally impossible. Somebody on the Discord did some math on the Not Too Complicated Discord, and I'm going to give a shout out to Dasfian, which I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, because he did the math on this. And I want you guys to understand, if you thought getting enough diamonds and enough Mobius fuel, remember we need 1 trillion of this, was going to be our limiting factor? No, the production of these things is not the limiting factor. It's the crafting time. So let's talk math. I'm going to try and make this one easy. So the thing we need the most of are Klein star Eins. Is that the lowest tier? Yes, we need 137 billion of those. That's a lot. But what I was concerned about was accumulating enough resources for this. Forget the resources. Even once we do get enough resources, actually crafting these will be nigh bananas. So the math was such as follows. Okay, you ready for this? Because it's pretty bananas. So it takes about 1 second to make a Klein star Veer, which is one of these guys, this guy, in one crafter, right? So only using wood crafter to make, this at a time would take around 3,107 days. So give or take 10 years, maybe 9. If you had 64 crafters making Klein star spheres, that would be these guys. It's still about 48 days for one colossal sphere omega. And then we need 8 of those to make the final star, plus 4 more. So, we're talking like a year or 2 of the game running and crafting, okay? And that's if you had 64 crafters. Now, some of you might say, well, Dyer, make 1,000 crafters. Like, your numbers are still ridiculous, okay? We're still talking days and days and days of letting the game run and just doing crafting. So, I'm pretty sure these things were designed to have EMC values. So you make one, and then you EMC, and then you make the next tier, and you next tier. Now, these EMC values were calculated by the same guy, Dasvian, to basically be the amount of EMC it would cost, right? So this is the Klein star omega. It's a lot of EMC, 100,000 million billion trillion, so 422 trillion EMC to make a colossal star omega. So what I think would be a cooler thing to do would be, even though we have a ridiculous amount of EMC production going on as it is, we could ramp up EMC production to the point where we can start getting this much EMC, and then we can get our colossal star omegas via EMC, rather than hitting the autocraft button and waiting 10 years to get what we need to get. Does that sound like a plan? I think so. So as I've mentioned once or twice in the past, the pack here, the late game is really not finished. Like, the end game of the pack is not finished. And I'm assuming, like, the pack author just hasn't run the numbers on the fact that this, just doesn't make sense. So there's that. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to set it up so that we can, I made changes to the configs so that basically each of these Klein star tiers has the EMC value that they would cost in terms of items. And then we can kind of, get it up there. Well, that's neat. That's cool. I didn't know that was a thing. We might look into making this. Place a chest next to a pedestal and drop item on top of it to clone it infinitely. Well, we should try that. It says work in progress, so it may or may not work. But if we can get to the point where we can make that, that would be cool. The only problem with this is we need Mark 16 power flowers, which is going to need a lot of antimatter relays. Like, I guess we're going to need, well, in theory, we only need 6 antimatter relay Mark IIIs, right? Because each of these can be upgraded in much the same way that the collectors can, right? Now, the only problem is it needs a lot of antimatter pellets, which, as you may have noticed, I just ramped up my antimatter pellet production. You can Dyer thinks ahead. But we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times 2 is 18, right? Plus 7 is 25 antimatter pellets per collector, right? So we're going to still need a lot of antimatter to make this happen. So yeah, if you want to yell at me for giving the stars EMC values, go ahead. I'm going to say the same thing I say all the time. It's my playthrough. I get to do it how I want. If you guys want to set up auto crafting and let your game run for 10 years to craft a colossal star omega, you be my guest. All right. So with that said, there's another thing I want to do today. I kicked off the craft for a 16 million ME storage component, and it still takes a long time. Another thing I did, again, now this falls strictly in the realm of it's my playthrough, I'll play it how I want. I enabled the recipe for the Watch of Flowing Time. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you're going to give me Project E, let me have all the toys, because they're fun. And I want to try the whole pedestal mechanic, where you put the Watch of Flowing Time on a pedestal, and it will give 18 bonus ticks to nearby blocks every tick. Each tick, nearby mobs move at 0.1 times the speed. So it slows down nearby mobs, and it increases the tick speed of nearby blocks. What I'm thinking is we should figure out the range of that, and then if I could augment these machines with that Watch of Flowing Time, that would make the crafting of the 16 million that I need go a lot faster. And then we can work towards getting more and more Mark 15 dudes. Does that sound cool? All right, so let me get started messing with that. All right, so let's start off with the Watch of Flowing Time, and I'm going to go with this recipe because it seems like a good time to me. I'm just going to snag some dark matter out of here because that's literally nothing EMC-wise. There's nothing I could think of in EMC terms that would make this cost, you know, even close to anything crazy. All right, so there's your Watch of Flowing Time, and I should probably start some backups. You never know what's going to break. So what I want to do is create the pedestal. And then we're going to figure out the range of the dark matter pedestal that the Watch of Flowing Time goes on. So we're going to pop you there, which looks to be relatively centered, right? And I think you need a redstone signal, if I'm not mistaken. I might be, but I think that's right. Okay. Oh, okay, redstone signal toggles it. I think you can shift right-click to turn it on and off as well. Okay, cool. So let's get a furnace. Okay, this is my plan. We're going to test this with a vanilla furnace, and it'll tell me, you know, how well this is going to work, right? So if we got that and some coal, and we put the furnace here, and we put you in there, and we put you in there, and then we turned you on. Sweet. All right, so now we have a gauge, right? So now if I were to plop my furnace, let's say here. Maybe not, right? Okay. So furnace here. Yes, definitely. Definitely tick accelerated. Oh, I'm making pollution, aren't I? Why did I pick a furnace? Why did you guys let me do that? That was not smart. Though he seems faster, doesn't he? Maybe not. Maybe it's just my imagination. I'm trying to decide if that's faster than normal. But I don't think so. Yeah, no, it's pretty vanilla. It's pretty vanilla speeds. Okay, so that means this block he's accelerated on. The next block he's not, right? Yes, perfect. Cool. Okay. So that means that's your threshold. So a range of 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks away from the pedestal. Let me go vacuum up some pollution that I just caused now. Real quick and easy to fix that. All better. All right, so now that we know that, then what we're going to want to have... I'm going to have to, like, rebuild my crafters. Because the main thing I want to speed up is going to be these machines. They're the bottleneck, realistically. Okay? Yeah, I know. I know, guys. I know. So if we sped up the crystallized energizers and the circuit etchers, that would speed up my 16 million crafters a lot better. And that would be cool. So what I'm thinking is let's measure out what the radius of this looks like. Can I get another machine that's not going to cause pollution? Let's see. Do I have like a mechanism machine that I can make like real quick or just have handy? You know what I could use? I could use a power pot. That would be cool, right? Let's just do like a regular hopper botany pot. And we'll get a chest. Okay. And then a seed. Doesn't really matter which one. Yeah, fluorite. Doesn't matter. And I'm going to just put it on regular old farmland, I think, or dirt. And the reason for that is I don't want a stupid amount of resources, right? So let's check this out again. We're going to put you there, and you, and you. And now I'm assuming this is a square, right? Oh, do you not go in there? What do you go in? Does it have to be one of the... Oh, it has to be inferium or... Okay, well, then we'll just do insanium. It doesn't matter. And then we turn you on. Cool. All right. So now, obviously, that means that 1, 2, 3, the fourth block. 1, 2, 3, the fourth block. This should also be cool. And I'm assuming this is a square radius. So I'm assuming, yep. What that tells me then is, I'm going to put you here in this corner. Would you assume that this will also be tick accelerated? Yeah, I know. I have literally infinite insanium. It doesn't matter. Yep, I would call that tick accelerated for sure, right? Yes. Now, how about upwards? So I'm assuming, therefore, that this block will not be tick accelerated. Correct. See how it's not faster? Okay. With that said, tick accelerated? Yes. Yes. Does this seem higher than 4 blocks, or is it just me? No. Okay, cool. So this height is the limit. Okay, so that's good to know. So what we can probably have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so it's 9 across. That's cool. That's good to know. So you are about 8 across is what I have here, right? Yes. So if we set up an area, and I want to be careful about not tick accelerating things that we don't want tick accelerated. So we want to be very careful about what you tick accelerate. That's just, general, suggestion and for Minecraft-y things, right? Be careful about what you tick accelerate. Cool. So that's the range that we're looking at. So I could easily have probably that exact same setup, but I want to move it a little bit further away from my base, but have that exact same setup, and this should be able to cover all of it, right? Because it's going to be, I assume it goes down as well, by the way. We could probably test that if we want. This should, in theory, also be... No? Am I wrong about the positioning of that? No, that seems about right. Maybe 1 or 2 higher. Maybe it doesn't go below. That's actually something good to know. Yeah, doesn't seem to be going below. Okay, well that's neat. One question then? What if I put you here? Nope. Okay, cool. So same Y level and only up. Okay. So the same Y level as the pedestal and up. And it goes the same level 1, 2, 3, 4. Technically the 5th block up gets tick accelerated. Are you off? You were off. Okay. Did I turn him off? Alright, now I have to retest this. Because of course I do. Yeah, no, definitely not. You're still running, yes. Okay. Did I turn him off, or did he turn off? I don't remember if they need fuel or anything like that. I'm pretty sure dark matter pedestals don't need fuel. Okay, so that is tick accelerated. Alright, that's cool. Okay, yeah, no, it does go down a few. Alright, that's good to know. Yeah, no, it definitely goes down a few. Alright, good. So it's probably, a 4x4, a 5x5 by 5 cube, right? Because if you count this, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? If you count that block. And then if you count this block, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So, I got it. So let me think about moving this back. Because I want to make sure that we're really not, you know, too close. But if we put it... Technically, if I place it in the right spot here, I should be able to tick accelerate these without affecting anything else. I think. I think that's an accurate statement. Let's try it, because I think I can do this without moving these things, and that would be awesome. I really want this rain to go away, so we'll be back when I can sleep. Alright, so let's plop him on the pedestal and see what happens. So I'm going to get you on there, and I'm going to request one of these 16 million dudes, right? If I kick that off, we should have most of what we need. Hit start. And then you guys are all cooking, right? Or at least a lot of you are. So now if I were to turn this on, how much trouble am I going to get into? Oh my goodness. Well, everything stopped crafting, so that's a thing. Oh wow, yeah, no, you're definitely cooking. You are definitely cooking. My goodness. So what do you got going on over here? That's pretty nice. I might adjust these recipes to do like 64 items at a time. And that would probably help. Because I think what's happening right now is the energizers are not keeping up. Like the insertion is not keeping up with the tick acceleratedness of it. But I just want to see how this goes. And we'll kind of tweak some things from there. And then I have more that I want to do with this whole 16 million thing. But you'll see what my plans... I have ideas on how to make this really cool. One of my questions is, like, why are we waiting for everything else to get done here? I've got so many coprocessors on this thing. I feel like it could be handling this better. You know what I bet it is? I bet each coprocessor is handling one of the crystal charge dudes. I think that's probably what's going to happen here. We probably want, like, a bunch more coprocessors on this to speed this up even more. Let me get more of them. Because I would wager that each coprocessor is currently working on inserting Certus quartz into here. So if you think about it, there are 16 of these machines being managed by coprocessors. So we probably have 16 coprocessors currently working towards, and if this is a 1, 2, 3, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 3, there's 14 coprocessors here. So yeah, they're probably all focused on that. See, now a bunch of other stuff is cooking, right? And you can see these machines all kind of kicking on to do their job. Sweet. I like it. I do. But we're going to want to speed it up as much as humanly possible. So coprocessors, for sure, is going to be an important part of this. And then also probably setting the charged Certus recipes to be 64 at a time. And maybe altering the calculation recipes to insert, like, 32 items at a time. So basically I just want to say, like, instead of putting one item in at a time and getting one item out, we're going to put 32 of each item in and get 32 of each item out. That's the plan. Cool? So one thing we're also going to want to speed up is pure Certus quartz. This stuff, one of these guys is making it somewhere, I don't know where. But that'll be a thing we're going to want to do as well. Because that is a little bit slow. So pure Certus was a blocker for me. And then the speed at which we insert things. So what I want to do then is let's put... We're going to need more channels over here is the problem. What do we got? 25 out of 38? I could probably swing that. So if you go left... So you're here. You're going 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then 1, 2, 3. If I moved you over 1... Okay. You would still be tick accelerating. What I would think is I could put the pulse centrifuges here. And that could work. Yeah, I like that idea. How hard would it be to get, like, a couple more pulse centrifuges? Like, maybe one more? Would that be a big old hassle? Just need a bucket of water and some blocks of Fluix. You don't know how to make blocks of Fluix, Direwolf? Dire, please. You don't know how to make blocks of Fluix? And a bucket of water. That'll do. All right, so now pulse centrifuge should be doable. Sweet. I'm just going to wait for that to kind of be done before we... There he is. Nice. I'm thinking I want my Fluix aggregator over here too, so let's move them. I'm going to break all of you guys. And we're going to reattach you, but I want to make sure that you're not connecting to them, so you're going to get an anchor point on all the sides here so that you don't reattach to these guys. And then we can put our interfaces. I'm probably going to be a little bit cool about how it... Well... Let's turn these 4 into this type so we can kind of match the pattern that we currently have going. And then we can get cabling. Okay. And then we're going to want some ultimate universal cables to get power for you, power for you, and power for you. Okay. And then your patterns, the pulse centrifuge is going to be this and this. The pulse centrifuge is going to be this and this. This pulse centrifuge will be this and this. And then the Fluix aggregator will be you, you, and you. And that should be cool. So I actually didn't need to make that extra pulse centrifuge, but meh, whatever. So you need to be that, and then we need some accelerators for you, but everybody else should be cool, right? Missing 5 pure Certus quartz crystals. I can fix that by running my cables over here. So what I would realistically want to do is probably just tap into this line. And that should be cool. And then your channel usage shouldn't be hopefully too bad. You're at 21 currently, now you're at 25. Yeah, 4 more. That makes sense, right? So now if I want my accelerators, you guys are going to cook for me, right? Yeah, buddy. Oh, you're slow. Yeah, probably because, yeah. You don't have accelerators yet, but that makes sense. All right, cool, cool, cool. So now that that's set up, and then you should also, so if I wanted like pure Certus times 200, right? You guys are going to start getting all that. And now we can test that the tick acceleration range is good. I moved it over a little bit. So you guys are all, boom, done now. Nice. Yeah, no, 100%. That is awesome. That's what I wanted to see. All right, now let me adjust all the recipes and the patterns to basically be 64 times, right? So we're going to say instead of insert 1, get 1, I might make it 32 just to be a little bit more concerned, but I think it doesn't really matter. Long story short, we're going to do that. And then I can't forget coprocessors. That's going to be an important part too. So I'm going to leave that on my hotbar so I don't forget. But this is going to take a while to redo all these recipes. So I will be back in a minute because that's going to take a minute. So my recommendation to you guys, probably the fastest way to do this, is to reset all the patterns you currently have. Okay, just in case you're doing this in your worlds, I want to show you what I think is more the efficient way to do it. Okay, then you'll have 16 blank patterns. Put them in there, right? And then make yourself a stack of calculation processors so you can do that. And then it's silicon, redstone, and pure Certus, and then that. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay? And then this all goes into here like that. And then rinse and repeat for the other types of processors. Cool. And then I'm also setting up the pulse centrifuge to be 32 Certus quartz equals 2 pure Certus quartz. So that should be cool. All right, so now if we were to, for example, say we want a processor, right? If I want one logic processor, it's going to make 64 at a time in one crafter. But that'll be cool because we've got a tick accelerated, right? So if I turn you on now, and we came over here and said we wanted one processor, start, one of these guys should kick on, and he will very quickly do the thing. Cool? How cool is that? So now let's get the coprocessors on there. So we're going to want probably even more than that. Just get a bunch of them on that thing. Oh yes, this is actually going to work out pretty nicely, I think. I tick accelerate all the things. All right, so let's throw, let's just start doing this underground here. And if that means wrapping cable around, that means wrapping cable around. You are just regular smart Fluix, right? Don't vein mine your cable now. Is that cool? I think that's cool. Okay. Let's put you guys away for a minute. Okay. So now that you're not in my way no more, you're 5, so let's do 6. Right? Is that cool? I think that's cool. How about 2 more coprocessors? Just so we have an even number. Okay. So now let's craft a 16 million, right? And see where our bottleneck lies. Because I feel like this is going to be pretty good now. Right? So if I want a 16 million doohickey, start. Okay. These guys are going to craft super quick. All the circuits are crafting super quick. Wow, we've already burned through a few thousand of those. Oh my goodness, this is cool. This is cool. This is cool. Can we agree that this is cool? I think glass might be our bottleneck, believe it or not. Glass might be our bottleneck. We'll see. We'll see if things get stuck on glass, waiting for glass. Because if you're waiting for glass, then we'll, you know, kick something in the butt. But otherwise, you know, that and Certus Quartz Dust might be the 2 bottlenecks. Because that would be these 2 machines over here. And if I move the smelter or the crushing factory, if I move the crushing factory, then I have to move the filter. Not the end of the world, mind you. And I think glass here is already set to a stack, and Certus Quartz is already set to make a stack at a time. So I can always just manually tick accelerate these if I want to. But long story short, I feel pretty good about this. I feel really good about this, if I'm being honest. I'm feeling really, really good about this. Do you guys all have acceleration cards in you? I would hope so. That ain't bad. That ain't bad. Now, if I wanted 14 more of these, I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is set up the next automation bit that I wanted to tell you guys about, because I had a cool idea on how to make sure that we have a lot of these 16x availables, right? So here's the next stage of what I want to do. Let's make a drawer. How are you for channels? I think you're good on channels over here. Yeah, I'm going to tap you right over here. I'm going to put you right over here. Okay, so check this out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set up an interface with a crafting card and a drawer, right? And then we want a storage bus. And here's what I want to set up. You ready for this? Because this should be cool. If I'm not mistaken, this should be cool. So I really want you to chill here-ish. And your job will be to craft one 16 million storage component. And if I'm not mistaken, it is now currently crafting that because we don't have any available in the network. Okay. Then what I want to do is have a drawer that you're going to pipes export out of. Okay. And I'm going to put these guys in here. Okay. And then the last piece of this puzzle is I'm going to put an a storage bus on here, set to... See, I want him to be able to access what's in there. But I don't want him to pull out of this drawer to fulfill this need. I basically want this to keep on crafting. This is supposed to be like a regular crafting doohickey, right? Let me think about this for a minute and how I can make this work. I might just have to put it in there, and we'll have to figure it out in a minute. Actually, I think I've come up with a slightly better way to handle this. Let's check this out. So here's what I'm going to do. Remove you. I'm actually going to rotate it because I want you facing this way now. So check this out. What I should be able to do, I'm going to put you here, and I'm going to lock you, and I'm going to set you to this. And then what I'm going to do is the following. Let's set you with an export bus with a crafting card on it. So check this out. If I put a crafting card in an export bus, I can set the crafting behavior to do not use stocked items, only craft items when exporting. So basically, by setting it to this, I think what's going to happen is even if there's 16 ME storage dudes in the network, there's 19, he's not going to use those 19 that are in here. He's just going to craft them and keep crafting them. But then what I can do is throw a storage bus on this guy. And then he should be cool to do that, right? I think this makes sense. So if I were to get my 16 million dudes, and we put this in here, okay, what we should see is he's going to request a craft. And he's going to keep requesting a craft. Oh, you requested it from here? Why'd you request from here? Brutal. But you get the point. So he's crafting now, even though he had them available, right? And he's going to keep crafting. And then we also have them available in the network, even though they're in here. And that's just going to keep crafting one at a time. All right, to make this even cooler now, what I did is I put this dude on a lever. Haha. Sweet. So now he's got a redstone control, active with signal. So if I want this thing to be continuously crafting these guys, he will do so. And he will make one at a time until I tell him to stop. Okay? Now, I'd really love it if I could tell it to make sure to always use this crafting dude to make the things, but I don't know if there's a good way to do that, short of shrinking these. Because making a 16 million guy is going to cost me... it costs 58,000 bytes. So just shy of the 64,000, right? So if I turn all these 64Ks into, what's the next tier? 16K maybe? Right? 16K crafting storage. Then that kind of makes this the only big one. So there's that route. Or what I could do is I could just throw a bunch of coprocessors on all these guys so that they all have enough coprocessors. That's probably how I'll go. You know, let's make, you know, a couple hundred of these. Right? And then we're cool. But we got to wrap up the episode. So for now, it's wrapping up point. Del 20 sign off. I'm going to let this run. And what he'll do is he'll make tons and tons and tons of these 16K storage drives. Right? Then we'll come back next episode and look back at amping up our EMC production. Because I feel like as stupid amount of EMC as we currently have, it ain't stupid enough. Because we're going to need a lot more if we're going to want to get into stuff like, you know, making these guys, which we're probably going to need to make at some point. So, yeah, let's do the thing. So for now, Del 20 signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We'll come back next time. I'm going to, like I said, expand all our crafters here. Hopefully not collide too much with stuffs. Looks like I'm going to, so we're going to have to deal with that. That's going to be fun. But yeah, we'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. For now, Del 20 signing off. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Take it easy.